What up? What up? What up? Microphone check. Microphone checker. All right, YouTube world. Let's just do some quick systems check here. Get my monitor set all up. All right, there we go. All right, all right, all right. We are solid. Do this. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right, brand new show, brand new format, brand new everything this morning. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. You can interact with the show by typing in the chat if you're checking us out on the YouTube feed. If you're on the my website feed, then you can there's a chat box at the bottom. You want to place some comments there. I can get your comments live through that feed as well. So let's go ahead and start the show. Got an exciting show for you guys this morning. Appreciate you for tuning in. Do me a favor, go ahead and share the stream out. Like I said, this is exclusive to YouTube and my website. No more Facebook Live. So I apologize to those guys. Hopefully, as many of them that enjoy the show will come over and hang out with us live on the new feed. So let's go ahead and get this thing cracking, man.
It up, put the hip shit on the shelf. Cause the way the real wealth is being real with self. My eyes been seen the glory of the coming of the left. I can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for help. It's time to switch it up, put the hip shit on the shelf. Cause the way the real wealth is being real with self. My eyes been seen the glory of the coming of the left. I can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for help.
Money, money, money. That's all he
Guys,
talks
there's
about.
nothing wrong with being wealthy. Like Kanye West says, having money is not everything, but not having it is. No, Deuteronomy 8:18 says God gives us the ability to create wealth.
Money is the root to all
No, it's the love of money that's the root of all evil.
all money. Little kid.
Yes, I do think about other things in money.
Money.
I'm just trying to leave a legacy for my family. Money's not everything, but when you got it, you can do some cool stuff. And now, your host for Talking Money in the Morning, financial health mentor to the working class, Mr. H. Cortez. Good morning, Black World, and welcome to Talking Money in the Morning Live with your main man, H. Cortez, the one and only financial health mentor to the Black community, everybody's favorite fatherpreneur. Where I do my best to bring practical yet proven wealth building strategies to working men and women all over this great nation of ours. It is truly an honor, privilege, and a blessing to come to you live and direct from the Black Wealth Movement Studios here in St. Louis, Missouri. Guys, if you are missing out still and you have not joined the Black Wealth Movement for just $10, guys, you're missing an opportunity to literally transform your finances, not only for you and right now in this moment in time, but also for future generations, guys. We're talking about building multi-generational wealth using some simple strategies. We teach building wealth in 5 different disciplines. Number 1, entrepreneurship. Number 2, tax minimization. Number 3, debt elimination. Number 4, credit education. And number 5, asset accumulation. Guys, if you're not doing those 5 things, it's going to be difficult for you to build wealth for you and your family. So for $10, you can join our movement, and then $34.95 per month thereafter, and you can literally change your life financially. So I want you to text Black Wealth Movement to 314-874-6887. Again, you're going to text Black Wealth Movement to 314-874-6887. And I will send you a link to our overview video where you get all the details. And if what we do makes sense, then you can join again for a limited time for just $9.95. That's right. You get to test drive our complete system. If it's not what you want it to be or what you expect it to be, then cancel within 30 days and I will give you a refund of your $9.95. So you literally have nothing to lose. I don't think you can beat that. So do me a huge favor, guys. If you're checking us out on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you have not already subscribed to the channel. If you're checking us out on the website, tv.financialhealthmentor.com, then I want you to go ahead and make sure you bookmark that page and then use those share icons as well to go ahead and share the show out to your favorite social media platform, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you like to share things. And I'm going to do the same myself. And then we're going to get started with the 8 financial resolutions for 2018. Guys, there are some things that you should be doing with your finances for 2018. If you're going to make a resolution, then you might as well be making resolutions around your finances. That's just something that I believe. And most people do that anyway, but I'm going to give you a few things that I think you should resolve to do in the area of your finances when it comes to 2018. For those of you who are new to the show, I'd like to let you know exactly who this show is for. This show is for risers and grinders only, man. If you're ready to get up, get out, and get something, then this, my friend, is your show. This show is for legacy builders, man. If you are the type of person that are sitting back like I do, and I look at ways or things that I'm going to do every single day to build a legacy for my future, to make sure that my children's children will be proud to bear my last name, then yes, this show is for you. On the other hand, if you're not, who is this show not for? It's not for the bump on the along, man. It's not for the pessimists. It's not for those people who got a problem for every solution. It's not for those people who got a problem with money. You think money is evil, capitalism is a dirty word. No, this is not your show, man. And I do not apologize about that one bit. So if that's you, then you can exit stage left. And like I tell you each and every morning, if you've never seen a future billionaire before, and yes, that is billion with a B, then I want you to take a screenshot, and watch your boy work over the next 9 years and 7 days or so, because by 2027 it's going down, man. Ain't no mistakes, ifs, ands, or buts about it. Your boy will be a billionaire. Today's show is also brought to you by Boss Up 1000, guys. If you're trying to be a boss in 2018, then you got to learn some things about entrepreneurship. You got to learn some things about credit, business credit. You got to be willing to step out on faith, and we want to help you do that. So all you got to do is text Boss Up 1000 or 314-874-6887 if you're looking to become a boss in 2017. Then that's what you want to do. Good morning, Karen C. I see your comments over on YouTube. And that's how you guys interact with the show. This is a new platform for me, so but you can use the live comment feed to chat with me on YouTube or on the website as well, tv.financialhealthmentor.com. So just let me know where you're from. And you can interact with the show there. So let's get on to the 8 financial resolutions for 2018, right? So I always like to give you guys my sources when I study other things and I get inspiration on different show topics. Today's show was inspired by bustle.com. If you're over on the website, you'll be able to click on the link to go right to their website. They had 8 financial resolutions for to consider for 2018. Mine are a little bit different, but I did keep some of the same thing. I think they were on point with some of the things that they are saying. So bustle.com is a great source for some other tips on 2018 resolutions. So number 1 out of the gate, don't try to keep up with the proverbial Joneses, man. I think in 2018, if you're going to transform your finances in a major way, then you absolutely have to get out of the mode of keeping up with the Joneses and tripping off everything that uh, is going on around you, comparing yourself to other people. The Joneses have single handedly killed more financial legacies than any other family on earth. Yeah, man, because we get caught up in this competition mode, and you never know what's going on in somebody else's house. You never know what's going on in somebody else's finances. And quite frankly, some of the people that you're trying to keep up with are broke or just as broke as you are. They do a good job of hiding it, and I think that's one of the problems that we have to deal with here in America. Is instead of getting good at solving our problems, we become very good at masking them, right? So instead of getting good at problem resolution, we get good at covering our problems up with name brands, with labels, with fancy cars that we can't afford, and things of that nature. And sometimes, without even knowing it, you see your neighbor go get a new car, and you want to go get a new car because y'all work at the same place, and you're figuring that y'all make about the same money. You never know, man, what the situation is behind that new car. And a lot of times they're not going to tell you. It could be that they literally had someone pay that car for them. It could be that their credit is better than yours. So because they have better credit, then they can get a much better interest rate. So they're looking at a car note of 299. You go out and trying to compete with them, and you bring home the same car, and you might be paying 599. So number one, do not or stop trying to compete with the Joneses. You never know other people's story, man, and that's why competing with other people it just is not the same, because you never know what they're going through, what they got in their pocket. You never know if they've saved up their hard-earned money, bought the car cash, and you go out and you're trying to do the same thing as these people, and you mess around and find yourself drowning in debt trying to keep up with the proverbial Joneses. And I used to be that way, man. There was a time where everything that I had wanted had to have a certain label on it, and things of that nature. Man, it's just not the same, man. It's that is financial suicide in my opinion. Literally, looking at go now that I'm a full-time entrepreneur, I think back to all the money that I spent trying to keep up with the Joneses, and how that literally affected me, um, in my ability to create this legacy that I'm trying to create for myself. See, I was in the legacy building mode since I was born. Since I was my parents were able to buy things for me. Problem was I was just building legacies for everybody else, right? There was a time when I was in high school and out of high school a little bit. Ralph Lauren Polo was the deal, and uh, you wanted to make sure every time you left your house you were in Polo something, and it got to a point where you had to have Polo everything from head to toe. Um, and I realized that now, if I was going to do that, then I would at least own a lot of stock in Ralph Lauren in the Ralph Lauren company. Because if you're going to be that kind of walking brand for a company, at least own some stock in the company. I know people who drive nothing but Cadillacs, have driven nothing but Cadillacs their entire lives. Well, if you're going to represent that brand that hard, at least own some stock in that company, right? And then there's nothing wrong with you representing that brand, because you're representing a brand that you have ownership in. But I know women who wear nothing but the latest bags, the Coaches and the Michael Kors and the Lucky brand. Well, you're building a legacy. You're just not building a legacy for your family. Does that make sense? You're building a legacy. You're just not building that legacy for your family. You're building a legacy for somebody else's family. So I got away from building a legacy for somebody else's family. And now I'm more focused on building a legacy for my own family. And I can't build that legacy if I'm worried about and tripping off what everybody else is doing, what everybody else is buying. And I'll give you this as a caveat. If you have children, especially small children, do not bring them up in the way of consumerism, because you will be setting yourself up, and you will only make it harder and harder to wean them off of brands and things of that nature. It becomes increasingly difficult when they become brand aware. It's going to happen because they're going to go to school, and their friends and their classmates, they're going to have certain brands and all that, and they're going to want to participate in that stuff. But if you're teaching them early uh, about building a legacy and the things that you're going to sacrifice as a family, things that you're going to go without as a family in the name of creating a legacy for their children and their children's children, I think it'd be best to do it that way. But the moment you start making them brand aware and making them feel uh, tying their self-esteem to the brands that they wear, then you're really barking up the wrong tree, and actually you're setting yourself up for failure. So number one, my 8 financial resolutions to consider for 2018, and this is for myself personally too. I still have a tendency to want to keep up with the Joneses, especially when it comes to my children. I want them to have everything that everybody else's children have. But you got to get away from that if you're going to build generational wealth. So that's number one. Number two is, if you're going to build wealth and build a legacy for your family, then you want to invest or save before you see it. Number two, invest or save before you see it. What I mean by that is, you want your money being invested or saved on autopilot. So try automating your investment slash savings. It's amazing how far we can make our last few dollars stretch. Well, guess what? We can make most of our paycheck stretch, less the amount that goes into our investments or saving on autopilot, just the same way. See, when you get down to that last $20 before payday, and you might be there on Monday or Tuesday, you got 3 more days before payday. You can make that last $20 stretch like nobody's business. Well, the reason I bring that up is because you can do the same thing if you set a percentage of your paycheck to automatically go into some sort of investment account, savings account, or brokerage account, and you'll figure out how to live off the rest. I remember a time when I went without paying my student loans. Man, I was mad that I had them. Didn't complete college, so I dropped out. I tell everybody, when it comes to college, I checked out after the first 2 weeks. I officially dropped out after the second semester. But I racked up a little bit of a student loan, a few $1,000s. It wasn't much, but it dragged on. I didn't pay it, so they ended up garnishing my check, and I was heated when I found out they were garnishing my check, as if I didn't know that I owed them folks money, right? But I was mad for all of about a week or two, but it didn't take long. By the second pay period, I had already adjusted my lifestyle to live without the few dollars that they were taking from each paycheck. Well, guess what? If you set some investments up on autopilot, you set some money to go up somewhere without even thinking about it, then you will learn, you will adjust, you will learn how to live without those few dollars. I promise you will. Um, and I, like I said, I adjusted very quickly. Just like when the payments were over and that money came back into my paycheck, I adjusted very quickly to that as well. So just know that it's easier to save or invest if you can put that money somewhere on autopilot, right? So whether you have direct deposit and you split, some of your money goes into your regular checking and savings account, and then you have a separate account, maybe a brokerage account where you're going to start buying some stocks and things of that nature. So you have some of that money go directly into that brokerage account so that it can literally start to build. And now when you need money to buy stock, it's already there for you. Uh, that's one of the best ways to do it, instead of, because if you get your hands on your money first, you realize that's why Uncle Sam takes his off the top, right? Because if you get it first and then you have to turn around and pay him, he doesn't trust you to do that, right? So when they say pay yourself first, that's what they mean. So Uncle Sam gets his off the top. Right behind Uncle Sam, you should have some money directed to some sort of investment account, some sort of savings account, brokerage account, or something on autopilot. And then you just learn to live with your take home pay. Does that make sense? You guys tracking with me? Just keep in mind, guys, you can interact with the show right with the live chat on YouTube. And if you're checking us out through the website, tv.financial health mentor, bookmark that page, by the way, because that's where we'll come live to you each and every morning for Talking Money in the Morning Live. You can interact. There is a comment stream at the bottom of that today's blog as well. So you can leave your comments for me as well. Good morning, Giovanni. Glad you made the switch over to YouTube. Facebook was tripping with me, man. And never again will I give a platform that much power to be able to stop what I'm doing or even slow down what I'm doing. So good morning. I appreciate you for tuning in and jumping, making the switch over to YouTube. So we're talking about the 8 financial resolutions to consider for 2018. So if you have not already done these things and you're thinking about resolutions for 2018, think about what you can do from a financial standpoint. Number one, make a resolution to stop trying to keep up with the Joneses, man. The Joneses have single-handedly killed more financial legacies than any other family. Number two, invest or save before you see it. Set some stuff up on autopilot where when you get paid, that money just automatically goes into either a brokerage account, savings account, or some sort of investments. And you do it on autopilot, and you just figure out how to live on your new take-home pay. Number three, get to building your emergency fund, right? This is a big one for me because I just don't do it, right? I'm pouring all of my money into my businesses to trying to grow my brand, but that's no excuse. You have to have an emergency fund set to the side. And you hear people say it all the time, and it's a lot easier said than done. But just like and number two, invest and save on autopilot. As you're building your emergency fund, do that on autopilot. Now, here's one of the things that I'm going to try for 2018 to get my emergency fund where I need it to be. I'm going to drive 100 miles from here, right? I'm going to set up a bank account at a bank 100 miles from here, 50 miles from here, 80 miles, I don't know, a couple counties over, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it very, very, very inconvenient to touch that money. So if you go 150 miles out, 45 minutes away from where you live, an hour away from where you live, you set the bank account up out there where you're going to keep this money. And then again, this is something that you can set up on autopilot. This is where the money is going. And then you make sure that you set the account up where you don't have any bank cards to it and you don't have any checks to it, right? Because if a true emergency comes up, then you're going to drive out there to get that money to handle a true emergency. But you're putting it just far enough out of reach so that if you have an impulse buy comes up, you're not going to want to go through all of those changes to get that money to satisfy an itch to consume, satisfy an impulse. Hey, what's going on, personal economy coach? What it do, sir? Good morning. Good morning. Glad you made the switch. Appreciate you for jumping on over here as well. So if you're building an emergency fund, that money is set to aside for an emergency. So if you make it hard to touch, then you actually have a better chance of building it to where it needs to be, because it's not so convenient for you to get your hands on it. Chances are you can grow it. And then if you have those impulses to grab that money and do anything other than take care of an emergency with it, because it's hard to reach, chances are you're thinking to yourself, I'm at the store, I want to buy this, but I can't get the money until I go all the way out to this bank, which is a couple counties over for me. By the time you go through all of that, man, and realize what it's going to take for you to get your hands on that money, the impulse would have subsided, and you've saved yourself for another round of continuing to grow and build that emergency fund. But like I said, if you do have a true emergency, then of course you'll make the necessary drive to go get that money and take care of the emergency. And then sometimes you'll come to realize that those emergencies aren't really emergencies, because you'll figure out how to deal with them before you make the necessary drive to go out and to get that money and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely think about doing that for 2018. Number one, resolve to build an emergency fund first and foremost, right? And then as you resolve to build the emergency fund, set it up in a place where you can't readily get your hands on that money. That's going to be extremely important for you. Otherwise, it's just another passbook savings account. And when you have the impulse to buy something, you're just going to grab that money and buy it. But if you set that money out of reach, yeah, that's one of the best ways to build that emergency fund. Number 4. This is important, man, when you're dealing with companies that got 401ks. Number 4 is max out your company's match. If you are, again, this could go back to number 2, investing and saving on autopilot or before you see it, right? Max out your company's 401k. Guys, I can't say it any more clear than this. It's free money. Yeah, it's free money. So if your company matches 4% of your salary that you put into their 401k plan, then figure out how to put the full 4% in and live off whatever is left. It's free money. What's going on, Tawana? It's free money, guys. Everybody type in the chat, it's free money. I don't know where you can go. It's free money. Now, do you have to sacrifice and make some adjustments to lifestyle? If 4% of your salary is $4,000 per year, then you have to put the whole $4,000 a year in, and that means you're going to have to figure out how to live without a couple $100 per month. Then that's what it is, man. But don't give up this free money. So max out on your company's 401k plan. A lot of people don't even know what their company matches, right? So max out whatever it is that they're matching. That's just a good thing to do, man. Again, you're saving money before you see it. You're putting that stuff on autopilot. Whatever that is, just max out. It says my company matches 125% up to 6%. Just learned through my econ how bomb that is. Yeah. So Karen is new to the Black Wealth Movement and my econ. She said, I just learned out how bomb that is. Yeah, man, max that thing out, man. It's free money. I mean, I can't say it any more clear than that. It's free money. And I know you might not be able to do this right out the gate. So if you can't do it right out the gate, then at least start somewhere. Some people aren't contributing at all to their company's 401k plan, and their company has a match. Now, if your company doesn't have a match, then you might be able to beat that, going to sit down with some financial advisors, going straight to some investment banks. You might be able to beat what they're doing, right? But if they have a company match, you got to find a way to max out. So maybe you can't go to the whole 4%, Or like in Karen's case, maybe you can't put 6% of your salary away right now. Why? Because the way you set your life up to this point, you might be maxing out living check to check. And then you might just not have it because you have to rearrange some things. Well, do this. Start with 1%. At least get the free money on 1%. You put 1% in, your company's going to match your 1%. And you work like heck to rearrange your life to where you can get to a point where you're maxing out, putting in the full 6%, the full 5%, the full 4%. Whatever your company is going to match, it is free money, guys. It's just free money. So if you have to stair step and graduate your way to 2%, 3%, 4%, whatever the case is, then you definitely want to do that over time. But make that your resolution for 2018. And anybody not already getting their full company match, I want you to put in the comments, max out. If you're not already, I want you to put in the comments, max out, that this is your resolution for 2018, that you're going to max out your company's 401k match. I mean, that it just makes good sense, guys. It's free money. It's free money, right? So you want to go ahead and max out your company's 401k plan. Again, you don't have to do it right now. Some of us aren't in position to just say, hey, I'm going to take this whole 4% because we've maxed out our lifestyle to where we are living check to check, right? Been there, done that, definitely understand how all that works and how the stress that puts on, but don't give up that free money. Let's learn how to max out that company's 401k plan, even if we have to do it little by little. Just resolve that I'm going to adjust my life in 2018 to, by the end of the year, I'm going to be comfortable living on less 6% of my income, because I'm giving the whole thing to my company. Says also realize that it is not a dollar for dollar adjustment, i.e. you can put $20 in the 401k, but your change in pay may be $15 less. It's worth it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So definitely, guys, you've got to start preparing for, and my man Bless Ellis said it best. He said, minimize your lifestyle so you can maximize your future. So if that means in order to max out my contributions, I'm going to cut some things out of my life. Maybe instead of going to the movies twice a month, I go once a month, right? Until I make some other adjustments. Maybe instead of having all of the premium channels for cable, I cut down to basic, right? I don't know, but minimize your lifestyle, right? If you stop keeping up with the Joneses, which was number one on the list, chances are you can free up some money that you would otherwise be letting get away from you, and you can be preparing for your future. So that was number 4. Let me just recap the first 4 real quick. Number 1 is don't try to keep up with the proverbial Joneses. The Joneses have single-handedly killed more financial legacies than other families, any other family on earth. I thought that was a dope line. I wrote that. Invest, save before you see it. Automate your savings and investments. So that 401k thing, when you adjust your payroll deduction, man, just set it and forget it, man, and then just figure out how to live off whatever the take-home pay is going to be. Number 3 is get to building your emergency fund, guys. Don't play around with it, because what happens is when you don't have an emergency fund, any investments that you have going on, you have a true emergency come up, you're going to tap into those investments instead of your emergency fund. And why play with your future like that? Go ahead and build your emergency fund. Number 4, max out your company's match, man. Give the max contribution and don't leave that free money on the table. Number 5, get your credit tight in 2018. Man, you can literally get your credit tight in fact, if somebody wants to get their credit tight in 2018 and they're not already part of our movement, I will let you start working on getting your credit tight for free. You can try our credit restoration program for $0 down and then $34.95 per month thereafter until you're satisfied with your score. Could be 3 months, could be 6 months. It's $35 per month. I know a lot of companies that are charging $100 a month, $200 a month, $150 a month for not even close to what we have to offer in our credit restoration program. And they're not teaching you how to restore your own credit. They're doing it for you so that if your credit dips down again, you have to pay them to fix it for you again. So we've all heard it said that cash is king. And that might be true, but credit has ruled this kingdom for the last 100 years or so. So much so that when you fix your credit, you just have to understand that this could be a place that you can get some extra money from to max out your 401k plan. So the personal economy coach says another principle is when you get a raise, give most of it to your investments. You're not used to having it anyway. Avoid lifestyle creep just because you get a raise. That is an excellent point, Robert. Avoiding lifestyle creep is a big thing, right? I don't have that on the list, but that could definitely be something that you resolve for 2018. Get a pay raise, husband gets a pay raise, pay off a debt. Don't go and get a new car just because you paid off the old one, right? And we're going to talk about some things in a second and from a wealth building perspective, how this all ties in, right? So get your credit tight. So what do I mean by that? Could be a way that you can free up some money, right? Say, for instance, you got a car and that car is 18 months old. Well, when you first got the financing on that car, your credit wasn't the best. But if you focus on getting that credit since you got the car, you might be able to refinance that car loan. And now the car payment goes from $500 a month to $300 a month. Well, you got a couple options with that $500 with that extra $200 in new cash flow. You could use it to pay on the principal on that car so you can pay it off faster. You were used to paying $500 anyway, or that's $200 that you could use to literally go towards maxing out your 401k. See, credit plays a big part, man. And the other thing is we only look at credit from what it can do for us from buying stuff, right? We never hardly look at credit the way wealthy people look at credit. Wealthy people look at credit in a very different light. They see credit as other people's money that they could use to build an empire with. I want you to put in the comments other people's money to build an empire. See, you could use other people's money to build an empire. Then you can use another group of people's money to pay back the loan. That's the way wealthy people see credit. Poor people, on the other hand, working class people, on the other hand, we've been taught that credit is just to help us supplement our lifestyle. That's what we've been taught. We've been taught that credit is to be used to supplement a lifestyle or to even pay for our current lifestyle, right? In fact, most of us are leveraged to the hilt when it comes to credit so much that we can only pay on the debt. We rarely have enough money to start paying the debt down. We only have the money to pay on the debt. And therefore, we are just in a perpetual cycle of just using, barely paying down the debt. So we're basically servicing debt, right? A recent study from, I can't remember if it was Money Magazine or one of the publications I was checking out as I was doing this, I did a show on debt not long ago. And it says the average American has $1,500 per month going towards debt, going towards interest on debt. That's not even a total debt that you're in. The average American has about $1,500 per month going towards interest alone on debt. Now, I haven't figured this new platform out, so I can't go into screen share and show you, but $1,500 per month invested instead of you paying interest on the debt could change your life, man. Could change your life. Now, I know these numbers by heart because this is one of my favorite numbers to play with. If you had that 1,500 instead of paying on debt, you had that 1,500 invested at 14% rate of return. In just 7 years, that becomes $212,000. 1,500 invested at 14%. And I know some of you guys are saying, where do you get 14%? Join the Black Wealth Movement, and I'll tell you. 14% in 7 years becomes $212,000. Now, if you decide after year 7, I'm not putting in this $1,500 into this investment anymore, I'm just going to let it grow. Cool. You stop putting 1,500 in, but you got 212,000. You let that continue to grow at 14%, and another 20 years that grows to $3.4 million. So you're talking about in roughly one generation, if you had no debt, you could literally transform your financial situation, and your children can inherit 7 figures. But we've got to get to a place where we understand the power of credit, because if we're going to borrow money, we want to borrow money at the least amount of interest possible. And we want to free up as much cash as possible so we can start paying down debt. You got to pay down your debt, because that's your children's legacy right there. Debt is robbing you of your ability to build wealth for you and your family. Now, I want you to notice how I phrase that. Debt is robbing you of your ability to build wealth for you and your family. It's not robbing you of your ability to build wealth, because you are building wealth. You're just building it for somebody else's family. Does that make sense? You're building it for somebody else's family instead of your own. So you got to understand how credit can play a role in the amount of debt that you have, in the amount of cash flow that you have. It's extremely important to understand how to minimize it. So get your credit tight. If anybody wants to get their credit tight, and you want to do this for free for the first 30 days and $35 per month, then send me a private message, man, and we'll talk about our credit education program and how you can get rolling for free, right? Number 6, get your taxes under control in 2018. Right? Get your taxes under control in 2018. Most working Americans don't realize that taxes are their largest expense, and even fewer understand the control they have over their income tax. Yeah, we can talk about all the taxes that we have in America. We have a lot of them, right? Sales tax, personal property tax, real estate tax. There's a lot of taxes that's going on here in America. But the one tax that you have control over is your income tax. The one tax that you have control over is your income tax. And a lot of Americans don't realize this. You go to work every day, but you filled out a form when you got that job originally, and you told your employer how much money to withhold from your paycheck for taxes. It's called a W-4 tax withholding certificate. Most people had no clue what that form was doing. They had no clue what it was about. HR couldn't really help them. They filled it out the best they could, and they turned it in and have been overpaying taxes ever since. See, that form is designed for you to get to the end of the year and you don't owe Uncle Sam any money, and Uncle Sam don't owe you any money. I know we oftentimes look at Uncle Sam as our enemy, but we got to get out of that mentality, guys. Uncle Sam is not the enemy. Wealthy people see Uncle Sam as a partner. Wealthy people see Uncle Sam as a partner. Poor and middle class people see Uncle Sam as the enemy. And because you see him as the enemy, you're constantly fighting with him instead of understanding that, wait a minute, there are certain tax laws and tax laws and tax rules that I could be using to my benefit to control my taxes. So if you have not, I repeat, if you have not revisited your W-4 form in a while, right? If you read the top of the form, it says, look at this form, revisit this form every year, and when your financial situation changes. Revisit this form every year, and when your financial situation changes. So in other words, that means at least once a year, but sometimes based on your financial situations or your life situations that might change, you might be seeing this thing 3, 4, 5 times, right? You might be seeing that you might be changing this thing a couple times in a year. Most people, and I was one of them, I had been on my job 10 years before I started working with my econ. And I had revisited my W-4 form one time. And guess what? When I revisited, you know what I did? I had them take more money out because I was owing the state every year. So I was like, shoot, they not taking enough out. So I had them take more money out. Nah, man. If somebody's gonna owe somebody, then I would rather owe Uncle Sam than have Uncle Sam owe me. Right? We think about those of us who are used to getting big tax refunds. And we think that Uncle Sam or our tax preparer is doing us a favor. Well, you might get $4,500 back, but I want you to look at how much came out of your check for the whole year. We are at the end of the year right now, so this is a good time to do this. Pull out your check stub and look at your year-to-date federal withholdings. Sometimes we're paying $8, $9, $10,000 in federal withholdings. And then we jump for joy that we get a $3,500 refund back. Well, with the right knowledge of the W-4 form itself, chances are you could have kept $6,500 throughout the year instead of waiting all year to get $3,500 back. Now, I'm not a tax accountant or a tax professional, so talk to your professional about this. But look at the W-4 form, see if you've made any mistakes on it, right? If you want a consultation with me on the W-4 form, won't cost you but 15 bucks, but we can go over it and I can show you where you may have committed some errors, right? But get your taxes under control. Most, according to the IRS, in 2005, people were overpaying taxes $160 per month too much. That was in 2005. Add to that some inflation, add to that some other changes. Chances are the average person is overpaying taxes $200 to $250 per month. Again, let's go back to some of the first few resolutions that we had, right? With an extra $250 per month, could you get that emergency fund underway a little bit faster? With an extra $250 per month, could that help you max out your 401k? Right? Extra $250 per month. Could you use that to pay down some debt? Absolutely. Right? So get your taxes under control is number 6. Number 7, we're talking about 8 financial resolutions for 2018. Number 7, read, listen, and hang. Read, listen, and hang. What you talking about, Ace Cortez? It's time for you to get your financial IQ up. Period. It's time for you to get your financial IQ up. And you do that. There's 3 things that determine who we are. The places we go, the books we read, and the people we associate with. The places we go, the books we read, and the people we associate with determines who we become. So in 2018, we're determined to become more financially literate. That means we're going to read more books on finances, read more magazines on finances, read more blogs on finances, right? tv.financialhealthmentor.com is a great blog if you want to go read some stuff on finances, right? Read, listen. You want to listen to some things when it comes to finances. Listen to some financial podcasts. I appreciate you guys tuning into the show every morning. Most shows are dedicated to wealth building, and developing the mindset to become a wealth builder. So, but don't stop at this show, man. You should have, I don't know, 10, maybe 15 financial podcasts in your in your iTunes account or whatever. Read and listen. Read the books, listen to the podcast, and then you gotta hang around people who read and listen, right? You got to start hanging around people who are making it a priority to learn financial literacy. You got to make it a priority to hang with other people who are also making a resolution to increase their financial IQ. Then you start to hold one another accountable, right? Then you start to transform the way that you think, the way that you see money. See, and I like to say that if you can change the way you see money, in fact, not even if, until you can change the way you see money, you will never change the way you behave with money. What I mean, my whole goal is to get you to see money as the seed and not the harvest. My whole goal with this show is to get you, if I can transform the way you see money, change the way you see money, instead of looking at it as the seed, instead of looking at it as a harvest, you start looking at it as the seed, right? My mentor says every dollar should always bring to you three or four of its friends. Every dollar you have, you should be directing it in a way that it consistently brings back three or four of its friends. But you can't do that unless you start reading and listening and hanging with people who have also made a resolution to do the same thing. Now, here's the key. You cannot allow yourself to get frustrated. You cannot allow yourself to get frustrated. In fact, every industry has its own language. Every industry has its own language. And yes, when you first pick up your first book on financial literacy, you listen to your first podcast, you start hanging around people who are trying to build wealth, the things that they say, the things that you're reading, the words and the phrasing, all of that is going to sound like gibberish. It might sound like Charlie Brown's teacher to you at first. Wah, 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 right? But you cannot allow yourself to get frustrated. Just continue to read those terms that throw you for a loop. You highlight them, you underline them, you circle them, you go pull out your dictionary, you pull out your thesaurus. The same way that you studied in school, you have to study financial principles. Everybody put study financial principles in the chat. The same way you studied in school, you have to study financial principles. And this is the trifecta, though. If you're reading and listening and hanging, then you're going to accelerate your growth in this area. If you read only, you will eventually get it. But if you're reading a book, Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Flow Quadrant, for instance, and then you turn around, I think I got this one right on the bookshelf. You read Kiyosaki's Cash Flow Quadrant, right? Then you turn right around and later that day, you listen to his podcast or you listen to a YouTube video where he's talking about Cash Flow Quadrant, right? So you're reading it, then you're listening to it, and then you're hanging around people, other people who've actually read it, and now they're giving their take and their perspective, right? I'm telling you guys, you can literally transform your financial IQ in as little as 2-3 months. Have a completely different outlook on life because you change your outlook financially. It says when you find a person that is where you are trying to get, do yourself a favor, and when they are speaking, press your lips together, especially when they are mentoring you. Absolutely. He says, press your lips together, man. But yeah, read, listen, and hang. You can do any of these three independently, but if you do them all together, then you accelerate your growth. That's what I do. I read, I listen, and I try to get around people who are great financial minds as much as possible. That's number 7. Number 8, it's my favorite. If you have not already done so, I want you to resolve in 2018 to start your first business. Right? Why do I say start your first business? Because it's said that 9 out of 10 businesses fail. Right? Now, I don't know how true that is, but it said that 9 out of 10 businesses fail. So when I determined myself to become a successful entrepreneur, that stat stuck with me. So I said, I'm prepared to start at least 10 businesses until I become a successful entrepreneur. If 9 out of 10 businesses fail, go ahead and start your first one in 2018. Shoot, you might fail in 3 months and then you might be on to the next one. But go ahead and start your first business. It's 5 things that wealthy people have in common, man. There's 5 things. Now, there's more than 5, but these are my 5 favorite things that wealthy people have in common. They all have multiple streams of income. That's number 1. All wealthy people have multiple streams of income. Number 2, they all have some sort of passive income, right? They all have some sort of residual income. Number 4, they all own business systems. See, wealthy people understand that the most valuable commodity that any of us have is our time. They understand that time is more valuable. So they own business systems, things that will allow them to make money with little physical input for themselves. And number 5, they all have mentors in their lives. Tripped me out when I heard Warren Buffett talk about his mentor. Tripped me out. But obviously there's some things in his life that he's trying to accomplish. And he needs the help. He solicited the help of other people, right? At almost $100 billion net worth, 80 billion, 85 billion, whatever he is, he's got mentors, right? And here I'm trying to climb out of a negative net worth. It just makes sense for me to have mentors in my life. It just makes sense, right? But how many wealthy people do you know that don't own some sort of business, don't run some sort of business, don't own a piece of some sort? You don't know many. Aside from the trust fund babies, you don't know many, right? Few lottery winners, you don't know many. You need business in this economy to build wealth. So you might as well get on with the process of starting your first business. Karen says, what was number 4? Number 4 was max out your company's match. Max out your company's match was number 4. Now, with that being said, you're starting your first business. Don't go into business expecting to fail, but go into business knowing that it's okay if you do fail. Right? Do not go into business expecting to fail, but go into business knowing that it's okay if you do fail. And Cortez, how could you say it's okay if I do fail? Because I've already made up my mind that I'm going to be successful. She says, no of the list you just, oh, the list I just listed, the five things wealthy people have in common. They all have multiple streams. They all have passive income, residual income. They all own business systems. Business systems is number four. And then number five is they all have mentors. So you got to own not just businesses. See, I can go to barber school and that will make me a business owner, but that's not a business system. See, a system is defined as if I remove myself from the equation, will my money continue to not only come in, but is there a potential for it to also increase as well? See, if I own a business system, not only should I be able to take myself away from the business and the money continues to grow, I should also be able to take myself away and the money increases. The money should be able to scale. Does that make sense? But do not be afraid to go into business. Don't go in with the expectation that you're going to fail. Have all expectation that you're going to succeed. Just understand that if I do go into business, well, I am going to go into business in 2018. If I do fail, it's okay. See, once you've made a decision, the definition of decision is to cut away. To decide, the definition of decision is the opposite of incision. Incision means to cut in. Decision means to cut away. Once I've decided to cut away the BS and become a successful entrepreneur, that means failing is just part of the process. It is not the end of the process. That means failing is just part of the process. It's not the end of the process. And the most successful people are successful because they have failed more than everybody else. Successful people have simply failed more times than anyone else. And we have it twisted. We think that in order to succeed means that we can't fail. We think in order to succeed, we can't fail. Successful people see, in order for me to succeed, I have to fail more often than everybody else. Everybody put in the comments, fail often, fail fast, fail forward, but fail your way to success. Right? That's the difference between somebody who is successful and somebody who's not. You think about a baseball player who bats 300. He fails 7 out of 10 times. And not only does he fail 7 out of 10 times when the game is on, he has failed more times than anybody else in practice. That's how he got good. He failed. We look at Steph Curry, and there was a stretch in practice where Steph Curry hit 77 three-pointers. Do you know how many three-pointers he's missed over his lifetime to be able to get to a place where he can hit 77 three-pointers in a row? We are not failing enough. That's our problem. That's why we're not successful. We're not failing enough. Right? This thing that I've gone through with Facebook and them shutting me out and closing my accounts and all that stuff, it made me determine, it made me come up with a very new catchphrase for myself. When I went through the troll issue that I had about a month ago, guy was just driving at me hard. I was like, man, what did I do to deserve this? But then I thought about what haters do. Haters have one job. That's to make you get better. So I told my wife last night with this Facebook thing, it's like, oh, you can't go live. You're missing out on 80,000 people that you built your audience to, and now you can't reach them. So you know what? I don't get beat. I get better. It's the last one for today. I want y'all to put the last thing in for today. I want everybody to put this in the comments. I don't get beat, I get better. So now what Facebook has forced me to do is build up my own platform. I don't get beat, I get better. What's the difference? Had I gotten beat, I'd be complaining about not being able to reach my audience and what's going I would be complaining about something that I have no more control over. So instead of complaining, it's just okay, how can I get better? How can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? What can I do to transform, to transcend, and continue building my brand? You say, hey, you should have had this stuff on your own platform a long time ago anyway. Why did you rely on somebody else's platform? So I don't get beat, I get better. And I hope you adopt that as your motto going into 2018, because a lot of people are going to try to beat you. A lot of people are going to hate on you. A lot of people are going to drag you down. A lot of people are going to throw mud on your name. But like the old cliche says, the old Facebook meme, they tried to throw dirt on me. They didn't realize I was a seed. So that's it for today's show, man. Again, today's show is brought to you by Boss Up 1000, guys. If you want to join our team of wealth strategists and learn how to strategize your own self for your own wealth, first and foremost, you can absolutely join our team. It's $9.95 to get started, $34.95 per month. You will learn the rules of the wealthy. I will plug you into directly with my mentors, my coaches, and everybody. Is your platform YouTube? No, that's the thing. I don't. I have my own website, so I'm learning how to stream directly to my own platform. So YouTube is not my own platform. So I'm transitioning 2018 to have my own servers, my own streaming network outside of sending my own satellites up into the sky. Yes, Curtis made the goal is my own. Curtis said I'm stolen. Yeah, so the goal is my own. But until I get there, I'm going to use YouTube until I get my own servers, get my own streaming connections and all of that stuff, and then I will be streaming directly to my own websites and things of that nature. But yeah, YouTube is not my platform, and I realize that I could do something to piss them off too. I could do something to piss them off too, and it is what it is. But yeah, no, ultimately the goal is my own platform, and run my own thing from start to finish, and own my own stuff. Um, So appreciate you guys for tuning in. I am Ace Cortez, the one and only financial health mentor to the Black community, everybody's favorite fatherpreneur. Until I talk to you guys tomorrow, again, the rest of this week, we're going to be on these resolutions, man. So tomorrow's show is going to be more on how to set the resolutions and how to accomplish those resolutions, how to stay true to the resolutions, and that good stuff, man. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Says that's right, control is the key. Great stuff. Appreciate that, Curtis. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. So until I talk to you guys tomorrow, I want you to get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve it. Each and every one of you. Peace out.